And we're back.
Hi guys. How's it going? It's been
2 million years.
It's been about 3 months since we were last active on the podcast scene, and
Might actually have been longer.
I think we need to reintroduce ourselves at this point.
I'm Rachel, aka Robogal.
And I'm Sirio, aka Robobrain. We're the founders of Awesome-Robo. The rest of the crew couldn't be with us tonight. You know, they're just busy with life and other things in general.
Stuff and things.
But to kind of explain where we've been, life has thrown a few curveballs our way, to say the least. We're pretty much reporting to you guys from our new house.
Yay!
It's very complex, this whole situation, but we're basically in a new HQ, and we plan on expanding Awesome-Robo from here.
As you can see at this point in time, our set
It's a little bit bare bones, yeah?
A little bit. That's our attic, but...
Yeah. But in terms of, due to all the stuff that's been happening in our lives, we kind of had to... Scale back a little bit, so we decided to move away from the podcast... Temporarily, rethink it a little bit, and, just focus on providing content on a regular basis, which is...
What we're here...
The entire emphasis of the website. The podcast was just extra. But things are back to normal, so you should start seeing regular podcasts again, a more focused podcast, perhaps, and a higher quality podcast. If you notice, there's already better sound quality. We're working on a Google Hangout setup, which is going to be really cool, I think, once we get it up and running with more people. And
it's definitely a more streamlined approach to the whole podcast filming aspect.
Yes.
Before it
was rather inefficient, very hodgepodge. We had to have a projector hooked up to a computer, hooked up to a Canon 5D. It was a bit messy.
I mean, after the 5th or 6th podcast, I don't remember how many we were able to get to last year. We had it down. It became a little bit more efficient. But...
Nah, not for me. Well, it was taking forever. But anyway, that aside, just some things that kept us busy also were the Awesome-Robo Kickstarter. We just wanted to thank you guys, anybody who supported us during this process. We had no idea how much work it was going to be.
Just a little.
I'd say we underestimated it.
By like 1,000,000%.
By about 1,000,000%. Yeah, all the stuff that went into logistics, production,
shipment.
Yeah, getting in contact with suppliers for all the individual components. But the Awesome-Robo t-shirt Kickstarter, which turned out really well, by the way, thank you very much. If you guys haven't checked that out, just Google Awesome-Robo Kickstarter. We were only about a month late, which I think was pretty good.
Not bad.
Pretty good compared to some of the other Kickstarters that we've backed personally, which...
We understand.
Well, one of the most interesting things we had to deal with was actually getting the stainless steel bottle openers that we offered as a bonus tier incentive after we smashed our initial goal. I thought it would be cool to offer people these wallet-sized stainless steel bottle openers with our logo on it, our website name.
It's a fun kind of, I don't know if I call it kitschy, but it's a fun draw.
Yes, but we really should have thought it through a little bit better. I just was like, well,
we'll just order them
and that'll be it.
Yay.
But instead...
No, things can't
dealing
be
with customs, dealing with...
everything.
A language barrier for overseas manufacturing. It was... a good learning experience, to say the least.
And they did a good job.
Yeah.
They pulled through.
And we've got 500 left.
1,000,000. I don't know how many we have left, but those boxes were heavy too. 25 pounds.
25 pounds each, and they're all about this big. But yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah. We honestly expected nothing out of the Kickstarter, and... Got
everything
more than we could have ever expected.
Yeah.
So, once again, thank you guys for all the support. We've always tried to not fill our website full of ads because I don't think that's our emphasis.
It's crap.
At this point. Yeah, it's something we've always hated. Like, every single person on the blog has always been pretty vocal against, covering the website in ads.
Plastered.
Yeah, we just put like 1 or 2 up, you know.
And
we've been very careful about what ad providers we get as well, just to not be to not have crappy ads.
And that's been a learning experience as well.
I mean, it's nice to get something out of the website, but honestly, we just do it because we're very passionate. We enjoy writing about the stuff we do, and you know, it's become like a lifestyle at this point. It's like every day, we just come back home and spend a few hours looking for content for the next day.
Yeah.
You know, we all have 9-to-5 jobs, but this is kind of like a fun thing we do on the side. Although
it's the icing, you know.
Although we do have ambitions to take it much further.
Absolutely.
Although it has come already quite a...
More so than I thought.
I mean, it's come a long way since we first started.
More so than I thought it would have, and I don't mean that in a negative Nancy sort of way, but...
I mean, just for comparison, guys, since our traffic has doubled by about 50% a year.
Yeah.
We've doubled our Facebook followers, our Twitter followers, and... we've had tons of posts just go viral, and this is without even spending a cent. And
then we've even, at least on one occasion, maybe even 2, we've been credited from other news sites as a source for...
Well, not always in the best way, but...
Not always in the best way, but...
Like, getting quoted by Fox News for that Apple article. A personal shame, I won't go into it. Yeah. But that aside, you know, we don't want to get too deep into just the nitty-gritty of blog stuff, but we're well. Life goes on.
Yeah.
You know? Now, one thing we were actually discussing recently were the Oscars.
I don't know. I've always had mixed feelings on the Oscars. Yeah. I think, you know, along with a lot of other people, it just seems very predictable, political.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time I've watched the Oscars in about 3 years, and...
I think it's the first time I've actually ever sat down and watched the entire thing all the way through.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why this year.
I don't know.
What was it? Just a particular sense of boredom?
There was just nothing going on Sunday at all.
But some very interesting things happened at this Oscar that were worth noting. I mean, we mainly cover animation, and this year's winners... I definitely had, at least personally, some reservations as to the nominations. Like the actual award winners for Best Animated Short and Best Animated Feature Film. I was surprised that Paperman won over Min-Kyu Lee's Adam and Dog, which I thought, personally, had a much better message.
It had a much higher emotional value.
It was beautifully animated. Yeah, higher emotional value, an impact. And it was beautifully animated by a team of independent guys. I mean, Paperman had really good technology.
Well,
I'll admit it. It looked fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
And it even had a cute story. I wouldn't say it was a particularly deep story. It was cute.
It was a cute story, but
I enjoyed it.
I didn't quite get anything out of it.
In comparison to Adam and Dog.
Yeah, Paperman was very whimsical.
Yeah.
It was just like a simple love story that mainly showcased this amazing technology that the folks at Disney had developed, which basically allowed 3D to look like 2D, like traditional hand animated stuff. It was cool. But after watching Adam and Dog, I was just like, how could this happen? And so I was like, okay, fine, you know. And then it went on to the animated feature category, and then we noticed that Brave won over Paranorman and even Wreck-It Ralph. Whereas Wreck-It Ralph was simply an enjoyable movie, I'd have to say I personally enjoyed Paranorman a lot more.
Than Wreck-It Ralph?
Better than Brave.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would have thought that Paranorman might have deserved it.
I don't know what it was about Brave. I mean, that makes me a horrible podcast person right now.
Well, I think we did
it.
discuss it earlier. I remember when we came out of Brave, we were all expecting so much more. Do you know? Like, Pixar movies have always been about the scale, the grandness of the story.
And not even necessarily the grandness. Like, you look at a story like Up, for example, and it is grand to an extent. I mean, look what happens. But in the end, the overall meaning of the story, the conclusion he comes to is pretty simple. But I think it rings really true for a lot of people. So I think that's what people were able to get in touch with more.
I mean, I don't even remember what the message in Brave was. There. Yeah, pretty much. I think the biggest thing with Brave, at least for me, was like, you promise this epic story, and then everything takes place within 2 miles of this castle.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. So...
It looked good.
It looked great, sure.
Great.
Even though the protagonist freaked me out and whatnot. But I just felt like they could have done a lot more with it. Especially compared to their previous body work. I thought it was a disappointment, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it just didn't have that emotional impact that the previous movies had.
Now, would you say I was a bit paranoid or overly cynical if I suggested that those two winners were both Disney films? And who airs the Oscars? ABC. And who owns ABC? Again, maybe I'm just paranoid and crazy and up my own butt.
Well, yeah, I think you're just being crazy.
Well, nothing's new.
And here's an interesting thing, though.
Something to think about.
Yeah, Adam and Dog, for example. The short was created by a team of Disney animators outside of work.
So it's not a Disney short.
It's not a Disney short. It was created by Disney animators. And even Glenn Keane, who's pretty much been attached to every single Disney movie in the last few decades, was a supervisor on it. So it's a bit disappointing. Now, I thought that one of the strangest things to come out of the Oscars was the entire drama around Ang Lee's Life of Pi. We both watched the movie and
loved it.
We loved it.
Loved it.
It was a great movie. It was beautiful. The story was touching, but something strange happened. Like I just started noticing something when the visual effects category was announced. Joss Whedon's the cast of Joss Whedon's Avengers came out, and I just noticed there was like a weird snarkiness going on
in terms of what's going on with the visual.
Well, they were just making jokes. Like Samuel L. Jackson and Robert Downey Jr. were going back and forth about how.
Just give them the credit.
Give them the respect that they deserve, right? And there was a big sarcasm to it. And I was just like, what is this all about? I had no idea what was going on. So they announced all the finalists, and Life of Pi got the award for visual effects.
I think rightfully so.
Yeah, and right after that, basically, Bill Westenhofer, who was the visual effects supervisor on Life of Pi, came up, accepted the award, and tried to say something about a company called Rhythm and Hues. And during this year's Oscars, they had a Jaws theme to cut off people if they went on for too long. Yeah. The problem was Bill only talked for a few seconds. And he just got cut off instantly the second he mentioned Rhythm and Hues. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but following the Oscars, I went and kind of researched the subject. Like, what's the deal with Rhythm and Hues? Why?
What's the problem?
Why were people being so passive aggressive about the
visual effects?
About visual effects? And it turns out that the company that had created all the visual effects for Life of Pi, or most of them, had basically declared bankruptcy 2 weeks earlier. And that led to us asking ourselves, wow, how could that happen? How could that happen?
Yeah.
And that led us down a pretty deep rabbit hole. I talked to some friends of mine who happen to work in the visual effects industry, and they brought it up. They said that there's basically a large movement right now that's saying we are getting screwed by international competition, and all the companies in Hollywood don't care. Their focus is the bottom line, and as a result,
which I mean, let's be a little bit frank here. To a certain degree, makes sense.
To a certain degree, it makes sense.
It is a business.
Yeah, it is a business. I absolutely agree.
But
it just that there's a certain
it lacks certain integrity that I guess is just disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, all the artists working in these industries, especially in the visual effects industries, over the last few years, they tend to just get laid off right after the projects conclude. Yeah. They get no credit. They're unsung heroes.
Definitely unsung heroes.
And then their companies go under like that. You know,
Thank you, bye.
Yeah, thank you, bye. And Life of Pi, for example, made about $1 billion worldwide. And what did they see out of it? What did this Rhythm and Hues company see out of it? Nothing. The problem came down, like after doing some even deeper research, I found that there's basically a system going on internationally called a subsidy system in which the government is basically paying back all the foreign visual effects companies a percentage of all the money they spend, which is driving prices internationally down, giving third world countries a much bigger advantage over companies that are, say, in a heavily taxed state like California.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, let's say you're in India or the UK, and your government gives you back 50% of all the money you spend on production, as well as paying for your health care. And then a company in California with over 25 years of experience is pitted up against a bid from a company like that.
Who's gonna
There's no way this industry will survive in the US. And if you think about that, that will rid us of about tens of thousands of jobs. Like, just artists will be pretty much... This industry will disappear from the US at this rate.
Yeah.
And subsidies have been declared as illegal, but nobody's doing anything about it. There is currently a movement, but...
Obviously, it's not gaining a whole lot of steam in certain communities.
However, there has been... The word has been getting out about what's happened to companies like Rhythm and Hues. On Facebook, for example, I noticed that everyone's Facebook profile pictures were going green. And that was basically a solidarity movement that spawned between artists to say, what would Life of Pi be without visual effects?
You'd have a green screen.
A green screen.
Yeah.
People have been posting images of what the tiger looked like before green screen. It was just a blue puppet. And they say...
There you go.
There you go. They did Photoshops of Ang Lee before Rhythm and Hues and after Rhythm. Like, with Rhythm and Hues, without Rhythm and Hues. And without Rhythm and Hues, no Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie was mainly a visual vehicle. There was a huge amount of artistry that went into it.
Yeah. It was funny. I mean, it's interesting. And then when you look at the Oscars itself, they themselves utilized visual effects. The whole Mark Wahlberg, Ted presentation, I forget which category it was for, but that was all visual effects. That was done by a studio called...
I think there's just a large... You know, as an artist myself, I just feel that there is a large ignorance as to the value of artistry.
Visual artistry.
Yeah. I just feel that there is this perception that artists just push buttons and beautiful visuals appear.
Yeah.
And I fear that with this type of mindset, you know, we might end up losing like hundreds of years worth of combined experience from a bunch of studios over the next few years who can't compete against this international competition. There's no systems in place to help them out. No government programs, nothing. Yeah. I mean, in the last few years alone, let me just list off the companies that have gone down. In the last year alone, I actually compiled a list. Pixomondo, Rhythm and Hues, Digital Domain, Fuel VFX, and Matworld. And the majority of these companies had at least 10 to 25 years of experience in the field.
With some pretty high, I'd say big titles under their belt.
And Oscar wins on multiple movies.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit disheartening to just see the attitude towards visual effects during the Oscars, but it's been encouraging to see what type of a viral reaction there's been to, you know, websites making a fuss about it. You know, we even took the initiative and wrote a big article on this thing that actually went viral on Reddit. So we're doing our part as well to spread the word on this issue.
Yeah, I think the thing that was just kind of the most confusing to see was when you're watching these actors on stage. I mean, it's pretty obvious they're being sarcastic and a little bit mocking in their tone, but it's sad because, I mean, they're artists too. They're performance artists. You'd think that there would be a little bit more solidarity in the...
A bit more respect, yeah.
A little bit more respect and
I
solidarity.
mean, Robert Downey Jr. the cast of the Avengers making jokes about this. Their entire damn film was filmed on a green screen.
Yeah, what do you expect? Like,
what do you expect?
Do they think they carried the films all by themselves? No, it was a team effort. Everybody.
You know, Iron Man 3. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here.
Yeah.
But
it's insulting.
It just came off as extremely insensitive.
Yeah.
You know, and just imagine all the... Like right now, Rhythm and Hughes is in bankruptcy. They've lost 200 employees, 1,200 jobs lie in the balance. Or hang in the balance. Is that what you're saying? Hang in the balance, yeah. I feel for them.
Yeah.
You know, we feel for them. So let's hope for a change.
Yeah.
What else do we do?
In the meantime, you know, that's why we try to push a lot of indie artists, up and coming, animated shorts along, you know, things along those lines. You know, or I think it was you did a Adam and Dog. We did that as opposed to Paperman. I think somebody did Paperman, but our biggest draw was Adam and Dog because films like
it offered something different. It was independent. It wasn't. It wasn't. There was no corporate interest behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, and you know, I mean, I could be wrong, but it didn't necessarily seem like it was going to have as big of a draw as, say, Paperman, for obvious reasons. Maybe not as many people would know about it.
I mean, the political aspects, at least behind those two, not to ramble, it makes sense, you know, for like current Disney animators working on independent project versus Disney Studio investing tons of money and time into this new R&D with a story that's just okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, that short played before Wreck-It Ralph, which
was great too.
I also enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck, I'd say I enjoyed it more than Brave.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not shy to say that at all.
Yeah.
Brave. Anyways.
Well, I mean, and the more I hear about John Lasseter, to be honest, the more I question the way Pixar works sometimes. Yeah. I mean, on the case of Ratatouille and Brave, the directors were fired and thrown out on their asses before John Lasseter took over and basically took credit for the entire project. I mean, to this day, the original director of Ratatouille, who went on to Laika, still won't talk about what happened. And the original director for Brave was female, which was a first. And she also got fired. Because they said the story wasn't good enough. I don't know.
Brave, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just wonder if...
No, it's too good. Fire.
I don't know. No, I'm just saying. I don't know. I dare I say it, I just wonder if Pixar has perhaps reached their peak. Reached their peak with perhaps Up.
No, I hope
or
not.
Or WALL-E.
No, I hope not. I love Pixar movies.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying Cars 2. Yo. Merchandising vehicle.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, Oscars aside, another big thing that happened, at least in the last few weeks, was the PlayStation 4 keynote. Even though we didn't report on it that much, seeing that it's not exactly up our alley, there's one thing I'd like to
kind of touch on. It's, you know, just looking at it from a distance, just the community's reactions to the keynote, I was just kind of surprised how it just seemed like people were... People be cynical.
Yeah, people were just looking for reasons to tear it up.
People hating.
Yeah, just to hate it for some reason. You know, I felt like the company went out there, they presented their product, just some high-level ideas as to what they wanted to do. They showed off some games. Admittedly, the games weren't the most exciting aspect about the entire presentation, but...
I don't think that was the biggest draw.
But it wasn't going to be a console reveal anyway. It was just something to inform gamers that, hey guys, we're trying to do something for gamers this generation versus going we're trying to be everything approach that the PlayStation, even the Xbox, suffered from in the last generation. But it's just weird how there's just this I haven't talked to Chris Riley, our other editor, about it. We just noticed there was this strange cynicism or self-entitlement that's crept over just the gaming community as of the last few years.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even think...
And even all communities, I don't know.
I was just going to say, I don't think it's just the gaming community. I mean, granted, I don't peruse the gaming community that much, but you go online anywhere, pretty much any sort of forum...
Or community-based
website, and it's always something. And I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a new phenomenon. I mean, people always have an opinion.
And I'm saying, it's not like we haven't fallen prey to this type of behavior with the veil of anonymity, but it's just like, at what point are we going to...
Or even lack of anonymity.
At what point are we going to stop wanting people to fail?
Yeah. Sometimes it really seems like that's just what it boils down to.
Yeah, there's just this mentality of wanting things to fail and people to mess up. Like, we derive joy.
Can you?
Exactly. We derive joy from watching other people fail. And
I mean, valid...
This is more like a large cultural phenomena more than anything, the more I think about it right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think valid criticism is...
Constructive criticism is always good.
Constructive is always good. I mean, you're never going to succeed if you're stuck in the same spot. But I think sometimes it's really easy to tell the difference between the two. At least more and more so. And
at least the lesson from the website, we've learned to stay away from any type of content that would spark such reactions, you know. In the past, we've gone down that path and tried to perhaps post sensational content, and nothing but shame has come out of that practice. Let me tell you.
And in all honesty, I think the effort behind it was well-meaning. I think ultimately it was trying to...
We just have to be very careful.
It was about humor. I think, we just really, I don't think at the time understood what our reach possibly could be. It's easy to say one thing when you don't think many people are listening. Well, when it finds out that a lot of people actually are, then you kind of have to start
And then you end up on
yourself.
Fox News.
Well, that didn't land us on Fox News. But anyways, we're talking about other things.
Sorry, at this point we're going into inside jokes, and I'm not going to tell you which articles cause this type of stuff, but...
If you've been with us long enough, I'm sure you know.
Maybe you know. Maybe you know exactly what we're talking about. And that's why our content is so much more curated lately. But yeah. Anyways, guys. Thanks for listening to this podcast. It's going to be a shorter scale one, shorter form one.
We're dipping our toe back in the pool.
Just getting this thing started up again, trying out this new format. And we look forward to making this a regular occurrence again.
We hope the other guys can join us.
They will. Some point. I'm sure they will.
They will.
They will, damn it!
Damn it.
And we hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any opinions to share, constructive criticism, I mean, just let us know.
Just don't be an a-hole, man.
Contact us at Awesome-Robo.com. And look forward to the store opening by the end of the week.
New swag. Newish swag.
Well, thanks, guys. Until next time.